Decoupage gift boxes. There's lots of little boxes that you can get these days, little blank ones, or you can recycle. Maybe something that had chocolates in it or something like that that you really like the shape of, okay? So again, the project tells you everything that you need, gives you examples. There's lots of examples to give you different ideas of things. Talks you through all the different stages and then gives you handy hints and top tips at the end and introduces you to washi tape, which we'll talk about. And again, look, there's loads more examples. So to gather up, this looks like quite a lot. You can do the box that is just white with a napkin, and if that's the case, you don't really need all of this. But we have our Mod Podge, we have our sponges, we have our white paint. We might use different coloured paints. We have our cling film, sandpaper, glitter glue, acrylic paint for colour, and I've added, I've got some nice gold metallic acrylic paint that's really nice. We have different embellishments, little adhesive details. They can go on to the box. They can also go inside the lid for a little surprise. You get these just anywhere. Now just keep a wee eye out. These are all peel off and sticky back. Okay. And then you have washi tape. Okay, there we go. And washi tape is used for scrapbooking and decorative projects. It hails from Japan originally, and it is printed onto rice paper. It's a little bit translucent. I'm just having difficulty getting that started. There we go. Okay, so it means you can almost paint with it. You can see through it a little bit, and I tend to, if I'm using it, I tear. I'm going to tear that off anyway, because a torn edge is easier to work with than a cut edge. But okay, so that's washi tape. That might be new to you. Keep an eye out for it online, or if you're ever out in the shops, because it is lovely. So that's what we need to make some of these. So here's some examples. So here's an example of one. I talk about gold leaf in the book, and they have the lovely foil napkins. And this is just white paint with the white rose gold on top, and it's got the corners that we talk about as well. And I think that's gorgeous. So I'm happy with that, just like that. Here's another one that's quite plain, and it's a pressed flower, and that's mentioned in the book as well. And decoupage is a really good glue for using pressed flowers with. It seems to preserve it. And I've used the washi tape is actually the same width as just what's exposed here from the lid. Look, so, and I don't know if you can see if it's catching the light, but that's like gold foil as well. So it's really, really, really nice for adding little details. Here's another thing, and I will be putting some of these on my shop. So this is a laser print of this. This is the real flower. Obviously there's only one of them. So I scanned it and I made laser prints of it on paper, so I can use them. And we've got a little bit of my glitter glue, and I've just touched up the inside and the bottom with a little bit of colour to tie in. So this colour here is picking up on the colour of the flower. Okay. Puffin. I couldn't get this boy in a cocktail napkin. Cocktail napkins work better for this size, but I brought him right down round, so I've got his head in and then his feet's down here, so I don't mind that. And I've done the corners that I talk about in the book, and I will demonstrate that. Again, I've just painted the bottom, dabbed with the colour and a bit of white. I've accented the corners here, and I've just done the same with the bottom edge here, and it just kind of connects it. This is my favourite. Oh, I love these little oils. So I have coloured the bottom. I've obviously picked up on the colour of the image, and there's purple and turquoise here and green. So I've done a green turquoisey blue blend, and then I've contrasted it with a purple glitter. So I'm hoping the camera's catching that. It's really nice. And then I did my very dry sponge over the edge here, just to give it a nice edge and tie it in. This one here is featured in the book. So the butterfly goes all the way around with the folded corners. I used a bit of bronze metallic paint for it. I actually painted the inside of it as well. Normally I leave the inside uncovered, but I just thought I would try it to see. And we've got pink and purple, so colours beside each other in the rainbow, and then using a bit of the darker colour just to accent the corners and the edges. This one here I actually used a napkin for it because it just suited so well, so cute. I sealed it with a bit of glitter glue. And look, I've got very thin washi tape here, just to give a finishing touch. Okay, and then this last one is just going back to the embellishments. So I've used some gold leaf, and then I've added some stick-on jewels, and this was stick-on too. This was inspired by Fabergé eggs for Easter. Okay, so the book tells you all about the little square ones. Since April 2020, these little square boxes have been harder to find. So I have been using boxes with different shapes. So we'll start with a different shape box and we'll get stuck right in. So as I say, papier-mâché box. Okay. They're nice and firm. You can do it with a little wooden box. You can do it with a commercial box that had something else in it, as long as if you're adding a bit of paint on top of it first of all. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to dab white. Now, you may want to have a tin or something, an empty cup or something like that, sitting about, because it's quite handy. I'm going to show you in a minute why. So I've got my paint from my tester pot. Okay, doing the bottom is generally easy. You can do it the whole way round, and I tend to just put my fingers in and sort of spread it. But if you find that difficult, just paint a bit, let it dry, and then finish it off. Okay, so we're going to dab. And what I do is, you see how I'm going back over it where I've been. Okay, I'm just going to hold on to there. So I'll show you what I mean actually, because I definitely do this with the lid. So I'm actually touching the top rim here, and I'm also just going over the edge here. So that's why I don't want to dry it sitting on the table, because the wet paint could attach to the surface of the table. So I've also left a gap here. Okay, that means it's easy for me to hold at the minute, so I can just set that on there. That'll dry, and when that's dry I can hold where the paint is and finish it off, and it's exactly the same for the lid. Okay, so you're going to dab that. You're going to let that dry. Make sure you've got a good strong white coverage. And again, you're doing white because it just keeps all your other colours true, and it primes your surface. So I'm just going to put my paint away. I'm going to put my sponge in my handy pot of water so it doesn't dry out and it lives to paint another day. And here is one I dried earlier. Okay, so that's it all covered. Nice even coverage. So again, cocktail napkins can be really good because they're smaller. All right, I think, let's just do this. I like to spend time, as you know, this is part of the art really, of just, you know, playing about and seeing what works, and so I quite like that, so that's good. So that's what I'm going to go for. So I'm only going to do the top of the lid. I'm not going to do the sides because this is curved. If I push the sides down, it would wrinkle. It wouldn't work. So I'm just going to cut this because I'll do the exact shaping with my cling film. And I am going to just put Mod Podge on the top of the lid, okay, not the sides. I only want to attach the napkin to the top of the lid. And again, we're thinking Goldilocks, not too thick, not too thin. So just keep that nice and smooth. There we go. Okay, happy with that. You can see it's all shiny. I'm going to get my napkin. And by now you'll all be experts on this. So I wet my finger and my thumb. I pinch down, I hold, and I pull away. There's one. A bit attached up here. Yeah. There we go, gently does it. And here is 2. Okay. So again, I'm just going to scrunch these up, put them out of harm's way. I'm going to hover until I'm happy. There I want it, that looks good to me. Yeah, nice. I'm going to press it down, give it a wee pat, and get some cling film. Get the cling film over it. Okay. Stretch the cling film, give it a good old pull, get it nice and tight. Okay. And then I'm just going to turn it upside down. There's no danger of it sticking because there's cling film on it. And I'm just giving it a really good press. Okay. And then if you put your hand inside your lid, so if you're pressing down here, you can actually lean against your hand just to get good contact. So that is looking pretty nice to me. Okay. And again, feel free to do a wee massage. It's always worth taking your time. Those wee lines are part of the design on this. First couple of times I used this napkin, I thought I'd dripped water on it, but it's the design. Okay, so I'm just going to let that dry before I do the edges, get rid of that. And I'm looking at this and I'm looking at the background colour, although we don't see much of it on here, but I'm kind of going to use that as inspiration for the colour of the bottom of my box. Okay, so we'll keep that there. That's drying. Just make sure I'm in shot. Perfect. Putting that there. So I'm going to get my paper plate. And I'm going to use a little bit of one of my testers. Which will give me a colour different to the acrylics. Here we go. Okay. And I think, yeah, I'm going to try pouring a little bit out because I want to possibly do a little bit of a mix. So if I do that, scoop that up. There we go. Okay. Because you don't want your colours mixing too much. I'll get rid of, use up some of the stuff on the lid too. Set that there. And then I'm going to try a little bit of the gold. I find metallic acrylic is really nice and subtle. And then with my little acrylic set, which will come with your kit if you've got a full kit, I'm going to use ochre, which is like a gold colour, but it's not metallic. And I'm just going to have a little bit of brown on standby in case I want a slightly darker edge. I mean, you could go bright yellow, you could go bright green. It's entirely up to you. That's the fun of this, really. So I'm going to use a big sponge. It's up to you. And we'll have a go. So I'm going to first of all use up what was in the lid. Here we go. I'm going to kind of get this on as our sort of base colour. So you could mix this colour with acrylic, but you would end up, you know, it would probably take a bit of red, a bit of yellow, a bit of blue, and quite a lot of your white. So this is quite nice. This is where these testers come in and give you a whole different palette. Okay, I'm going to go in now with a bit of the metallic gold. And again, I tend to take excess paint off. Okay, you don't want too much paint, and you want to keep going back over where you've been if you're wanting to do the sort of nice blended, softer effect. So I'm just going to go back into here and top up. If you don't like getting paint on your hands, you could wear gloves because you're painting against that, or you could use a smaller sponge. Okay, so you just keep taking a look and saying, I'm really liking the gold with that taupe. So yeah, I'm going to go back into the gold again, a little bit excess on the plate. Okay, dokie. Going to go back in with the taupe, go over it. Okay, here we go. So the blending, it's up to you, really. You can just dab, dab, dab to get an even coverage, or you can keep dab, dab, dabbing to create a nice colour blend. I quite like that as is. So I'm just going to set that down there. I'm going to get the brown, the dark brown, and dabbing it on the plate. And I'm just touching the top edge. And this is just going to give it a frosted. Just sort of defines it. Give a little bit more on here. If you are getting a little bit of glue on your hands, just be careful with touching the inside of your box. I've done that a few times where I've left marks I didn't want to leave. So that, I quite like that. So I'm going to leave that for now. I'm going to soften it up a little bit. Add a little bit more there. So you just kind of keep going until you're ready to stop, really. So I'm going to stop now because I could go all day at that. So that's, I'm happy with that colour combination. I've taken the excess of that so I can put the lid back on my little tester pot. Perfect. Put that out of the way. I'm going to keep the sponge on the plate. Just give my hands a little rub, put that out of the way. And the next thing I'm going to do is get rid of excess paper around my lid. So you can use a nail file, or you can use sandpaper. Okay, so very gentle rub. You're only rubbing away a very thin layer of tissue paper, really. You may end up rubbing so much that you rub some of the paint away. That's fine, because we're going to be finishing it off anyway. So nice and gently. Gently does it. Okie dokie. Okay. Oh yeah, look at that. I'm just going to give this a little wipe to get rid of any dust. So you can see, so just by using the sandpaper or the nail file, it gives you a perfect fit. So you don't have to bother cutting and everything first. So I would give that another coat of glue and let that dry before doing anything else. But I'm going to just go straight into the paint. The white doesn't work here. So I'm going to get a little bit more of the dark brown because I quite like it. Here we go. Let's see, there we go. And again, you're always better just pouring out a little bit. And then if you need a little bit more, that's fine. That way you're not wasting. And we'll do our base colour. So I just need to make sure my hands are clean. We're just going to go around the side. And again, dab, dab, dabbing just gives you a nice even coverage. Okay. I'll just keep going round. And then this could look really nice, maybe with some gold foil, washi tape. I think the key with your embellishments is just make sure that it enhances your napkin image. It doesn't, you know, detract from it. You don't kind of add too much. It can be easy to get carried away sometimes. But sure, we all have our own style. So now, so I've gone a little bit of brown. I'm taking the excess off and I'm just going at an angle because I just want to get the edge. And it just sort of finishes off. It's like giving the same effect as stamping with ink. But what I try to do, or what I do actually, is stretch the materials and do as many different things with the same set of materials as possible. So you don't have to buy 50 different things that you only use once. So you can do this with ink if you have ink. But it works equally well with acrylic paint thinly on a dry sponge. And that's the other thing that's worth saying. All of these, I don't use water. You're only using water to separate your napkins. The paint and the glue, you never use water. Okay, so that I'm liking. I'd leave that to dry and then give the bottom end a little bit. Give that all a coat. And actually, I think I would finish that off with some nice bronze glitter glue. But that gives you the basics of how to get the image on the lid. And then it coordinates. Okay. So, very briefly, I am now going to show you, because I mention it in the book, just to show you how easy it is, how to do a cornered edge. Okay. So, here we have the lid of our little white square box. Okay, and I have picked out a napkin. Yeah, here we go. So I quite like this. So again, I'm just going to cut a quarter. Here we go. Again, using the inside of the scissors. There we go. Perfect. Fold that up again because there's 3 other images on there. Very briefly, just to show you, if you do have a napkin with a little robin or a character, you'll see, here's the lunch size napkin. You could end up losing a lot. Here's the cocktail napkin, the smaller one, where you do end up with a lot more on. It's just something to bear in mind, particularly coming up to Christmas with robins and things like that. So I'm just going to have a quick play, make sure this napkin will cover, yes it will, all 4 sides. Perfect. I'm going to separate my layers. 2 have come off at once. Lovely. Okay, that's good. Scrunch them up, put them out of the way. Get my cling film torn in anticipation. Hold on till we see. I have been given a good tip that if your cling film really sticks to itself, if you keep it in the fridge, it's easier to separate. So there we go, that's that. Ready. I have my glue, so I'm going to get my glue on. So I'm going to do the whole thing, but I might need to touch up the sides. So we'll see how we go. And again, I'm spreading my fingers for the last bit so I can get it all covered. Ooh, without holding it too much. Okay, and I'm just making sure that's nice and smooth and even. Alrighty. And actually what I'm going to do is use one of my trusty tins of food. Here we go. Set that on. That makes life a lot easier. Okay, so now I'm going to hover. Make sure everything's going to fit. Set that down. Perfect. That's nice. So I'm going to flatten down the front and the back edge first. Okay, so I'm just pressing them down first and the top. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press down the 2 sides just in the middle. All right, and I'm going to push them out to the ends. I'm going to get a little bit more glue, and I'm just going to do the very end of each side. Okay, alrighty, and then I'm just going to grab this fold here, okay, and press it round to the side. Grab this fold here, press it round to the side. Grab this fold here, press it round to the side. Grab this fold here and press it round the side. So it's just like wrapping a present, really. So now we have to move quite quickly with our cling film, which is here. Get that on. Hold on. Let it pull down. Perfect. Now I can lift it up. Tuck the cling film in. Give it a good old pull. Work on the surface. Great. Work on the sides. Just massage, massage, massage. And it's the same actually if you're using the washi tape or any adhesive. I always stick them down but give them a good rub to make sure there's good contact made. And then at the end, I always give a thin coat of Mod Podge over the top of all of the embellishments or the tape. And that just seals everything in. It means you're not going to lose anything, nothing's going to fall off. So again, I've got my hand here so I can press against it, and that is looking pretty nice. So cling film off. Yep, there we go. And there you have it, and you can see your edges. Once that's dried, I can just sandpaper them off, and that's as easy as it is to do your folded edges. Okay, so we have covered painting, blending, dabbing, accenting your edges with the dry sponge to give a stamped effect. We have looked at different examples. I've shown you embellishments, glitter glue, and the rest is up to you. Last thing I will say is what you can do as well. I tend to keep the insides plain. You could put a bit of tissue paper in there or a bit of fabric or something like that. But you could also maybe have a little, I have these embellishments. So you could cut something out and have a wee message on the inside lid. That's just a wee surprise for the recipient of the gift. And it's quite nice because the packaging is also the gift. So there you are, Decoupage gift boxes. Happy decoupaging.